Most of the companies have that one, or your own team telling you the migration is too complex to attempt. Right? Today, I want to challenge the last assumption and show you a smarter path that organizations are using to cut the migration effort by a considerable amount. And then we will set you up for a live demo of our BIPort right after this presentation. And let us start with a business case, right? Like, because if you are in this room, right, you are probably already being asked to justify staying on a legacy BI platforms. The TCO argument is often door opener in the CFO conversation, right? Power BI is frequently bundled into Microsoft 365 or Azure agreements. Your organization is already pays for that. So you are not paying anything extra, right? And that changes the math significantly. That is the first argument that I would like to propose. And the second one, right? Like, I'm sorry, I didn't turn on my video. I just noticed it. And that's one side of the argument, right? Like, the second part, right? The data leaders is making it like, ecosystem argument, right? Like, already your team is in the Excel, they are in the Teams, they are using SharePoint, and anything, right? Like BI that requires a separate login often doesn't work very well with the end users. And people want the BI to be integrated as part of the entire ecosystem, not a separate one, right? And the most strategic one I would like to draw your attention to is Power BI is in the Fabric analytics layer. If your organization has any data modernization ambitions, right? Fa Fabric and Power BI is just not a reporting tool. It's the business face of your entire data platform, right? And on top of that, you would have heard vendor or like skills, risk that like shrinking Bob or Tableau, details, right? Like the whatever the skill set availability is going down. But what are the common challenges that we face, right? So this is where exactly the honest, intention of migrating to Power BI gets a little uncomfortable because most migration projects do fail not because of the technology change. They fail because of what happens before the technology, right? Like, how many of you actually know the entire landscape, the inventory, right? How many are being actively used? How many of them are duplicates? Who owns them? These kind of questions, right? These are not nothing to do with the technology, but like, because we don't know the answer yet, uh, such things will get, cumbersome over there. So these are the, six challenges which I kept on the, here. And, in the interest of the time, I am just, going to the next slide. And what we need to do here, right? Like, before we migrate, we need to clean the house. We need to identify what are, duplicate reports in the entire landscape, right? We have seen that 20 to 30% of the enterprise estate, right? Like it's almost like, duplicate reports. And there are stale reports. Reports have been created, but they are not being used. Nobody is taking a look at it then, right? That is like, past 12 months, nobody has taken a look at them. Are they really have any value to carry forward to the new platform? Or should we tell them, okay, these are the stale reports, nobody is interested at this moment of time. So, we take a call that like, okay, we are moving only with what people are interested in. right? Like, and then there are underutilized reports. There are like one viewer, two views in the entire year, right? Like these are very underutilized. But sometimes there might be yearly reports, right? Like which will be getting views only in the year end, right? Like those kind of reports are there, which are important. So we need to identify which are underutilized, which are rightly utilized, these kind of challenges, right? So what in the BIPort, right? Like what we in the assessment workflow, we go in the four-step process, connect and scan, where like we connect to the environment and get the automated discovery of entire inventory, right? And then we analyze them automatically. And what do we give there? Like the usage report, complexity, and who owns this, and data lineage, etc. Things that we get there, and then we prioritize them, and that is in discussion with the customers or SMEs, what needs to go first, what needs to go next, all those things, which needs to be migrated, which need not be migrated, etc. And then plan the migration activity, right? And then this is what like we do. It's full estate discovery and usage and complexity scoring, prioritized migration. That's what like we take. This is kind of a data driven, and before you migrate a single report, right? Like what is to be migrated. And here is one typical, use case. We just changed the numbers representative, right? Like what we have done. There were 3,200 reports in a case, right? Like finally, after the assessment, it came down to 1,050. There were 26% of them are duplicate because the customer was in multiple regions, and it's just a matter of parameters, right? Like that we need to change. And there were 65% of stale reports, and 16% of them were like underutilized. And really, what are the active and valuable are like it was like 21%. But considering all the things, finally the scope was reduced almost to 1,050, and 2,150 reports, almost it is one third of the entire thing, right? Like that itself is a big saving for the customer, and the time uh, is saved, right? And I'm moving to the next one. Like, where do we spend time once we identify what are the reports to be migrated? What 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 is that like we do, right? Like one is assessment, and that is what like it takes 20%, right? And then the migration build, it takes 50% of the time, because it requires a formula uh, translation into the DAX, right? And we need to build a semantic model, visual recreation, all these things. If we do the manual, like it takes more than 50%, and the validation takes 20%, and the deployment, right? Like UAT, all those things. It takes like 10%. The training, hypercare, all those things. This is what the typical time spent without BIPort, right? Like validation part, right? Like typically it is time consuming, and it cannot be fully automated even with BIPort, right? Like it requires a business sign off, all those things. If you notice this entire thing, 70% of that is in the assessment and the migration build, right? So that is where like, BI ports sweet spot. We are, addressing this 70%. So here is what like most important slide, if you want to consider uh, assessment and rationalization. It reduces the entire scope, migration scope, right? Like 60 to 70%. And typically we take, 3 weeks to 4 weeks time to, do the assessment report generation, and then we connect to your business users, and get the insights into them, and prioritize the roadmap. That's what like we'll give, and that gives you a full end-to-end view what are to be migrated, right? And the second one is migration build, right? what we have seen is 60 to 70% of migration that is automated, right? Like either it comes to the formulas being translated to DAX or semantic model construction, because the platform is a little different. It's might be Tableau. It works with the data blending, but Power BI needs semantic model and visual reconstruction, right? Like all these things will save nearly 70% of the effort through automation, right? That's what we are achieving. So first one is assessment, and then on top of that, the automation brings additional effort. So here is a classical use case, what we have seen, right? Like one of the, customer came to us. They said like, they have 4,500 SAP BO reports. And after the assessment, right, like it came down to 1,400. And the 1,400, if we go with the regular manual, this one, it was planned for 12 months with multiple teams going in, right? Like working on the same things. And then that came down to 5 months using the BIPort, right? That is like, in the migration itself, like we have got 70% of the effort saving. And then the overall reduction, if you see from 4,500 to 1,400, this is again like, it's around 25%, 25 to 30%, right? So this is where like, we have seen huge difference, and whatever the migration cost and other aspects that, typically that goes into the discussion, right? Those are, taken care with the BI port and this one. So the message for, what we have seen is like first assess, and then we'll rationalize, then you go for the migration, and that's where like finally you will be uh, might be considering the modernization, right? Like, this is where it pays automatically, kind of self-funding model, right? Yeah. So that's what the message what we wanted to give, and here are the key takeaways. With this, I will stop, and I will give my the forum to my colleague Subhashini to take over and show the demo, walk you through the demo. Thank you very much, and I will be back for any question and answers. If you have any question and answer, right? Like maybe you may want to use the Q&A to type in your questions. Thank you. Subhashini, all yours.
Yeah. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you for introducing Sparity's vision and introducing BIPort, um, and how it has helped clients achieve better business outcomes, and basically giving a clear view of how we want to help um, clients with automation. So with that context, let's move to the demo. I'll start by sharing my screen. I hope my screen is visible. So I am Subhashini. I'm working with Sparity as a solution specialist. And, my role mainly is to work with customers from planning stage till execution and understanding what they currently have and what's actually being used, and then driving the whole migration project. So like Sunil mentioned, BIPort is basically a one-stop migration accelerator, and right now we are supporting Tableau, SAP Crystal Reports, and SAP Webby. But for today, I will focus mainly on Tableau to Power BI, because that's usually where customers realize how complicated their reporting environment has become. So, first step in any migration journey is connecting to the existing Tableau environment. So, in many migration tools, the process usually starts by uploading one workbook at a time and analyze it, migrate it, and then move to the next one. But when I say BIPort is an end-to-end migration accelerator, the starting point itself is different. We simply connect to the Tableau server or Tableau cloud using credentials. So once we click add server here, it may take few minutes, and based on the number of reports during this time, BIPort is doing, its calculations, like it's securely connecting to the Tableau, extracting report metadata, mapping dashboards, visuals, calculations. So for this demo, we have uploaded couple of workbooks, and this is the landing page once you connect to a site or when you upload workbooks. So basically it says that it has 3 projects and a total of 6 reports, and the total complexity of all these reports combined together is medium. So in one view, usually the clients get to see how their Tableau landscape is, and how their reporting environment is. So this itself makes BIPort's clients super excited because they get to see their entire reporting landscape in single page. So if I scroll a little bit down, we should be able to see how many reports are completed, how many are basically in progress, and what is the complexity and priority distribution. So this tracking helps both the customers and BIPO teams stay aligned during the entire migration project. So now that we have discovered the environment, let me quickly show you how the migration actually works. So for this demo, I will use a very familiar data set, that is Superstore. And before we go further, let me quickly show you how the original Tableau workbook uh, looks like, and what we are trying to migrate. So this is the Tableau Superstore dashboard. You can see it's fairly typical dashboard. We have customer analysis, we have product distribution, like, sales by product category and product details, where we have, this is a heat map, and then we have a circle chart, and then we have overview, profit overview over the map, and some cards and area charts, monthly sales and quarterly sales respectively. And then we have shipping. So it's a fairly, typical dashboard that clients usually have in their environment, and they have such dashboards in hundreds. So now let's, like, come back here, and once I click on this dashboard, BIPort immediately scans the file, and within a few seconds, it gives us what we call dashboard of dashboards. And in this workbook, we can already see there are 6 dashboards, 13 visuals, 10 calculations. And out of these 13 visuals, there are 11 native visuals and 2 custom visuals. So in just a few seconds, we already understand the scope and complexity of the report. So at the beginning of the project, we already have, a lot of discovery effort is already, like, saves a lot of time. So now, once we are on this screen, we simply click on migrate. Like, we can download the detailed analysis, where it gives us all the analysis that is related to this particular workbook. Basically, it gives us details about the tables, the number of calculations used, or if there are any parameters used, and the attributes used in each sheet. It also gives us detailed analysis of each worksheet. So let me quickly extract So everything a developer needs is there in this analysis report. Like you can see, we have table details where it has order table details, and then we have people table, and then returns table. And yeah, it shows all the columns, all the attributes, I'd say, and then how the relationship between the tables has been established. That also, that information is also here. So so everything a developer needs is right here in this analysis report. And once we have the analysis, we can simply click on migrate, and we should be able to, yeah, have this in PBIP format here. So yeah, the first load might take time. Meanwhile, what's happening is it is loading the underlying model and connections. Yeah, and also, depending on the data set or data model, it takes its own time. But once it's open, the navigation is usually smooth. And yeah, so before we see this, we'll have to connect to the data source. So let me quickly connect. Yeah, looks like, okay, everything is here. Okay, now let me click on customer analysis. Okay, it's loading the data. So this is the first dashboard that we saw from Tableau, and this is the customer analysis. And like you can see, most of the structure of the dashboard has been carried over, the layout, the visuals, and this particular bar chart that we're seeing probably just needed a custom sort, um, so that it would look like, such cosmetic adjustments sometimes are needed. And let's check the other dashboards and see what's happening here. So yeah, the overview where we saw the, sales overview, profitability overview across the, so there are some cosmetic adjustments and some color changes that might be needed. That is where we need BI. And then we have product distribution. We are able to retain the heat map, but whereas the circle chart is a custom visual in Tableau, sorry, is a custom visual in Power BI, and even failing is not silent when it comes to BIPort. It will flag it and say that, this visual is not supported, and probably the developers might need their own customization. So that the important thing here is we are not starting from a blank report. And if you look at the overall structure, almost 60% of the dashboard is um, already reflected automatically. So from Tableau workbook to Power BI report, the entire migration flow happens within BIPort. So let me go back to BIPort. Um, I'll take a pause here. If you have any questions. Um,
Subhashini, we have a question.
okay.
One of the question that we have is how do you replace business object scheduling and publication busting functionality?
Um,
It's
Sorry,
maybe
can
do you
you?
want to, how do you replace business object scheduling and publication busting functionality? Is the one question we have. We
Yeah.
do have
Uh,
one.
Let me take that scheduling part, right? Like, typically on the Power BI, we have Power BI data flows that can be used for scheduling. And, what is the other point, Akash?
The other one is publication and busting functionality.
Uh, Publication.
Yes, publication
So
Is it
we
functionality.
more
publish
like?
it into service, the Power BI service, right? Like, is that
Yeah, we usually publish it in Power BI service, or if you want, we are also able to upload a PBIX file in the BIPort, and the users can download it and publish it in their environment in their own Power BI services.
I think we are keep on getting questions. Maybe do you want to park them for last once you complete the demo? Do you want to do that, Subhashini?
Yeah, sure. Let me continue with the demo and then answer the questions. Uh,
Like one more question, Sunil. Can you convert Tableau extracts to Power BI? Import models, direct queries, or Snowflake backend semantic models?
Oh, yeah. So the tool, right, like BIPort handles all of them, right? Like, the formulas or semantic model, all these aspects. So now whatever, is shown is kind of a live one, right? Like what we have uploaded. It has taken care of, parameters. It has taken care of slices and, these things, right? Like end to end, it is handling. There are couple of challenges, right? Like where uh, we don't have equivalent function on the Power BI, right? That's where like come back and ask the SMEs, or like the BI experts in your teams, right? Like we ask them like what could be the best suitable thing in your environment, or like approved ones, right? Like say for example, if there is a visual that is missing and it is not natively available on the Power BI, that's where like we come back and ask like, okay, you have either marketplace, we can go, these are the options available, or like might be a Python script, right? Like on the visual might work here better. These kind of options will come where the Power BI as a platform doesn't support it.
Yeah. Subhashini, are you back? Do you want to
yeah,
continue
I'm
with the
back.
demo?
I'm back. Thank you. I'm
Please
so
go ahead.
sorry. Yep. So, yeah. So now that we have seen migration, but migration is not just about converting reports. In most real projects, the bigger question becomes, do we actually need to migrate everything? And that's where BI ports analysis capabilities become really valuable. So, in many environments, report duplication becomes a problem. Teams keep copying and tweaking dashboards, or rebuilding similar ones. And before we know, there are multiple similar workbooks. So, BI port identifies duplicate reports. It classifies reports based on similarity percentage. Let me quickly take you to duplicate analysis. Like, this is where this is another site we have connected to BIPort, where we have, multiple reports, and, it basically classifies reports based on similarity percentage, showing how much they match, like, 100%. And it shows as less as 13, 25% too. But usually we can have a like set like we can set it to 50% and above, and we can consider them as duplicates, or usually 90 to 100% is what we consider. And then, if you want to see what are the what all is matching, you can just click on this, and it will show you the source report and the target report, and what are the visuals that are matching and what are the visuals that are not matching. So, yeah. And another common surprise during migrations is visual compatibility. So in Tableau, some visuals are native, but in Power BI, they may require custom visuals or redesigning. So, for example, a bubble chart is native in Tableau, but in Power BI, it usually comes through as custom visual. So BIPort highlights which visuals are directly supported, which may need redesigning, and which might need custom handling. So this helps teams make those decisions even before the development starts. So instead of discovering it halfway through the projects, you have it even before the migration project starts. And the third thing BIPort highlights is stale reports. This uses last accessed or usage data. So here we can see dashboards that haven't been opened for months. This is usually a big eye opener. In many organizations, 20 to 40% of reports are rarely used. So instead of migrating everything blindly, teams can pause and ask, do we still need to migrate this report? So by this stage, BIPort has completed what we call the assessment and rationalization phase. And all of this happens simply by connecting to the Tableau metadata. There's no manual documentation, no opening hundreds of workbooks one by one. So overall, BIPort supports the entire Tableau to Power BI migration journey, discovery, rationalization, migration execution, and customers usually tell us that it removes a lot of uncertainty and it reduces risk, and also speeds up the migration process projects quite a bit. And our goal with BIPort is simple: make BI migrations faster, easier, and predictable. So we are open for questions. I'd conclude the demo here.
Thanks, Subhashni. We do have a couple more questions from the
Mhm.
participants. So the next question I think is on more of a security. It's an interesting question. The question is about I have sensitive data. How will it secure and confidently be ensured?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Sunil, would you like to take that?
Yeah, sure. So the BI port, right, like typically is deployed into your environment. So it's like we are not getting the data outside your environment. That is first one. Second one, the entire BI port construction is happened on the metadata basis, right? Like the migration, for the migration, all it needs is your metadata. So that it reads the report metadata to reconstruct the semantic model or to reconstruct the visual. That's how like it works. So it is not touching the data. However, to ensure to validate once it is migrated, right? That is in your Power BI environment, might be all that you need is like you connect to the data sources in the backend so that like the visuals can be compared. So that is where like we need the data. Otherwise, we don't even need the data except for the validation, right? That's where like it's zero touch, what we call of your data. Does that answer your question?
Probably, yeah. I think the participants would be listening. If they have any further
Okay.
questions, we request them to post that. The other question that we got here is, as we are mentioning that our solution is 70% automated, how will the remaining 30% be handled?
Yeah. So the remaining 30%, right? Like 70% because of the platform challenges and even in the process, we are not claiming it is it does it 100%. So there are certain platform differences, right? That what we do is instead of leaving it to the tool totally, if it is not 100% deterministic, right? That's where like we want the human to be involved, and then these 30%, right, like might be whatever the non-native or custom visuals that are not available, or like might be sometimes if there are formulas like which are uh, say nested multiple times, right, like might be our tool might not be able to handle that kind of thing. So these are the areas, right, like where we need the manual intervention. That's what I see as going in the 30%.
Thanks, Neil, for answering it. And the other question that we have from the participant is, how does Power BI replace the business objects universe semantic layer?
Yeah, this is a interesting thing, right? Like the semantic models, right? Like we don't have the equivalent of Power BI in the equivalent semantic model. What it goes into the sorry, business objects universe, right? So what we do is like we take the universe and we build either in the Power Query, we build the relationships and DAX measures and calculator columns, all these aspects, right? Like that will be all these aspects will be used to equate whatever comes in the business objects universe, right? It's not kind of straightforward one-on-one. All these things needs to be considered in the Power BI. So the tool has the capability to understand, right? Like which should go where. That's what like tool is built upon.
Got it. So we do have one more question that I can see here. How does the post-migration QA process look like? Does BIPort have an automated data reconciliation to prove the number of match exactly between the old and new reports?
Uh, Currently, we don't have the automated process over there. We purposefully kept it manual because 100% automation, right? Like, bringing even this one, it is, sometimes scary. That's why, like, we kept some part of it as open. But however, like, there are, one of our tool, it can create, few obvious uh, test cases, right? Like for that one.
Mhm.
So what I would say, like 30% are like what our obvious use cases we are automated, but remaining 70% like we kept it manual, so that like migration is tested fully to the user satisfaction.
Any other questions, Sri?
I don't see anything popping up.
Yes, we have two more questions actually. One question is, will BIPort imports users, groups, they are already in Entra, and permission by each project to workspace?
Yeah. The current capabilities of BIPort, right, doesn't have that one. The groups that is manually done now, the RLS part, right, like that is manually done now. But like that is in our roadmap, even to handle the groups and all those things. But typically what we have seen, right, like the admins they do that migration and they do whatever the configuration required in the Entra for the Power BI, right? Like, typically the outside tool like BIPort will not get the access to do that one because it is something related to the security. That's where like, multiple times the customer says like, they do it on their side, not to give to any tool that information.
Thank you, Sunil. There is one more question. Uh, can you migrate any of the following from Tableau? One is alerts, second one is subscription, and third one is AI features like Tableau Pearls and Tableau agent components.
Okay. So here is my answer to that, right? Like there are like, what is Power BI equivalent of these, right? Like, let me go for the alerts. That is like, there are data alerts, right? Like, and second thing, what I would suggest is like, might be there are Power Automate on top of the Power BI, right? Those flows we can take. These two are the options that I can think of for the alerts, right? And when it comes to the subscriptions, right, like might be Power BI also has some subscription kind of thing, right? Like,
Yes.
if it is premium, we should go for that one. That's what like for the distribution. The second option, again, I would fall back on the Power Automate, where it can be scheduled, right? Like custom scheduled, for the delivery beyond the Power BI, scope, right? Like where the emails, we need to add all those things. What is the third one you asked?
AI features like Tableau
Uh,
Pulse. They are
uh-huh.
asking if they have AI
Tableau
features
Pearls and
like
agent components.
yeah, we
Yeah.
have Copilot.
Uh-huh. Yeah, go ahead, Subhashin.
Yeah, like Microsoft provides AI features through, Fabric and Copilot for Power BI. So, although they are identical to Tableau Pulse or Tableau Agent, they offer similar capabilities such as natural language querying and I think AI generated report summaries, insights, and assistance with reports creation and analysis. Yeah, the functionality pretty much is similar. So yeah, Power BI, like to summarize your question, Power BI supports alerts and report subscriptions. And for AI capabilities, yeah, Microsoft already offers Copilot and Fabric AI features. So yeah, which are very similar to what you have questioned. Yeah.
Thank you, Subhashini.
Yeah.
I don't see any more questions here.
Mhm.
Let's wait for a 1 or 2 minutes. If there are no further questions, I think we can conclude this webinar.
Sure.
Let me share, the screen. For those who attended, this webinar, right? Like, our CEO wanted us to share this good news as well. Let me share the screen. Offer that like we have programs like one Accelerate and second one is Frontier. And the Accelerate program, right? Like where you have 300 workbooks and less, right? Uh, we'll invest up to $15,000, right? Like doing the assessment and validity that one. And when it comes to the corporates, where like there are more than that, more than 500, right? Like, the Sparity as an organization invests up to 50,000 for the, as part of the assessment and migration. So that's where like, it's here. And, Sparity goes with the fixed price engagement, right? Like, no hidden charges per report price, and if you are interested, you may drop an email or like connect on that mobile number given here. That's it from my side. Akash, thank you.
Thank you, Sunil. So, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today for this wonderful webinar, Accelerate Tableau to Power BI Migration with BIPort. So, if anyone has any questions or if you have any requirement in your network or you wanted to share with us, please reach out to us. I'm just dropping my email in the chat. You can reach out to me and my email and mobile number. Please reach out to me over there. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for your wonderful time.